Welcome back to Thinking Out Live, guys. I know it's been a millennia, basically, since we were actually doing this podcast, but we're happy to be back. As always, I'm your host, John, and now I have a co-host, Ari. Say hello.
Hello.
We're going to be kind of getting into some hot topics from last week, and we're going to be doing this way more frequently, so I hope you guys are ready for that as well. And we want to thank GLM for being a huge sponsor of this channel. So if you guys are looking for any sort of tactical training, or if you're a first-time gun owner and you're looking to go get some training, or if you're looking to get CCW or Force Enforcer, anything, they have a huge list of classes you guys can go and look into and take. So head over to groundlevelmindset.com, check those guys out, and yeah, ton of experience, good guys. If you're in the PNW, go check it out. With that said, let's dive into this last week. So we had basically some crazy that we had the ability to potentially regrow teeth.
Yeah.
Right? Which is pretty nuts. We had maybe a live forever pill along with it, which I guess you would need
with the teeth.
With the teeth.
Right.
Right. And then we had this back and forth, like, I have cluster bombs. No, you have cluster bombs. I have cluster bombs now too.
I have more.
I have more cluster bombs.
I've had mine longer.
Yeah. I have stockpiles of them, in fact.
Mine have a rainbow on them, so.
Yeah. Ukrainians probably definitely have rainbows on them. And then we had, what else? Oh, the morality police came back into Iran. Woohoo, yeah. And also, it's kind of interesting, along with the whole Ukraine thing, the IOC, the International Olympics Committee, telling Belarus and Russia that they will no longer be.
They're so uninvited.
They're so uninvited, but we still like your athletes to come. We know we're not going to bar the athletes to come. So, with that, those are the categories I think we're going to cover today. So let's just dive into it. Let's start with the whole Ukraine thing, because we can kind of go from one thing to the next. Let's start with IOC.
Okay. Politics and sports. Cool, not cool.
Yeah.
That's kind of the gimmick here, I guess. It's hard because I feel like I haven't spent a lot of time thinking about this necessarily in depth. But every time I see politics and sports, it irks me. Like, I just get annoyed. Like, I'm just here to watch some dudes who work out a lot, like, hit each other, you know? Or, like, I want to see some girls do some really cool flips and, like, get big wedgies, and that's it. Like, that's all I want. Like, I don't want to know about, like, your personal life necessarily. I don't want to know about, like, your beliefs. And, you know, if you get mistreated in the meantime, like, that's between you and your trainers, unfortunately. Maybe that's not cool of me, but
yeah, I don't think that. I think that forever, anytime, and we talked about this earlier. If you see politics and sports, it's just like, this just doesn't belong. It's never belonged. It doesn't matter what sport it is. It doesn't matter what politics it is. Like, whether it was the NFL doing it or the MLB or the Olympics. Like, every time I see it, I'm just like, can you please stop this? I come here to escape politics.
Right.
Like all of the you know, sports in general, like, they're just, I mean, while I kind of hate the Coliseum effect, you know,
that you know that you're being distracted from something.
Yeah, the fact that we're being distracted from something is okay, I guess, at some degree. You have to recognize and acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But I don't like that. Again, everyone goes there to escape it all.
Yeah.
That's like people's escapism, you know. But when they start doing it, it's like, okay, well, now we have to sit here and be bombarded with. We have to be bombarded with just every socialist agenda and social fucking problem that we supposedly have, you know, in this country, like, just crammed down our throats everywhere.
Well, and I wonder if part of it is just also maybe being overwhelmed with, like, we already get a lot of advertising in sports, right? And so now we're also getting this additional messaging of politics again. And it's like, you already see politics when you turn on the news anyway. and you're going to see advertising when you turn on the news anyway, or the TV anyway in general. So then, like, you go to sports and you know that you're not going to be able to escape the advertising, but then you're also getting more politics and sports. And I wonder if there's, like, an aspect of that where it's just too much. Like, it's too much emotion going on. Because, like, the advertisements create emotions in you. You're obviously ramped up because, like, you're rooting for your team or whatever. And then now you got politics on top of that. And it's just like,
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if the whole goal is to like kind of guinea pig off the back of like the running high emotions, you know?
Yeah.
So they're like, oh, well, you know, if we can catch people in this Steelers game, you know, and they're like super amped about the game, or like they're playing their rival, or like there's already this like animosity and their tensions are already high, and then we just like interject like social issues.
And now you're also upset about this.
Yeah, now you're also upset about this, and like so, like just carries over. Like, yeah, I'm really upset about that.
I care so strongly.
I care so strongly about that. And then like, had you had that same conversation, like, I don't know, 10 minutes ago before the game started, you're like, I don't give a shit about that. It doesn't affect me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I guess the hard part too is it's like, okay, if we believe in like freedom of speech, right? So then at the point where you become a public figure, like in sports or as like an actor, do you then kind of lose that right? Like, do you not get to speak out about it as much as maybe like you and I do because like we have a podcast, right? It's like we're talking about our opinions, but we're also not professionals on the subject necessarily.
I mean, don't speak for yourself. I feel like I'm a professional.
Sure. Right. Some of us are professionals. But when you choose a profession that's like entertainment, right? To put sports and actors in the same category. Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Is that right? To like be like, well, I also have political opinions.
I don't know if you lose the right necessarily.
Because here's the
Like,
thing, right? Is it's like, okay, do you just not want to see it on the TV? Or do we also not want to see it on their social media? Like, do we not want to see them tweet about it either?
I don't think. I think that as a person, you have your rights. You know what I mean, like, I don't think that we should necessarily stop them from in their own time, right?
Sure.
If you want to go on your Twitter, you want to go on your Instagram, you want to like go be a social justice warrior, like by all means, like that's what we have the First Amendment. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think that anyone should be barred from saying whatever they want. Very clear about that. Whatever they want to say should be fine, right? As long as you're not like actually like threatening someone's life or like kind of the big few things we have to kind of keep it somewhat civil, you know. But even then, I'm like, dude, like whatever. Like, I feel like you can't really infringe on that. So, however, I don't think that super large companies that have a ton of influence, you know, that aren't in the political game, should be talking politics. And again, you're seeing what's happening right now. We had cancel culture roll through, and now you're kind of seeing like the other side's cancel culture.
Yeah.
And those are other topics, so we're not going to get too far down the Bud Light Target game and everything else. But it kind of is in the same breath.
Yeah.
You know, like don't go political.
So then I guess to bring it back is like, do we agree with the IOC's decision? Like, do you think that's a good thing?
What do you think?
I don't think so. Like, I don't think I can believe all the things I just said and then also be like, yeah, but fuck you, fuck Belarus. Like, don't come to the Olympics. Because it's supposed to be, like, the whole world bringing the best of the best to, like, show off. And it's, like, the one thing that the whole world has that we all do, and it's, like, peaceful. You know what I mean? Like, there's no, at least that I know of, right? I haven't heard of any, like, battles opening up between, like, the Russia and USA teams, you know, when they go to the Olympics. So I feel like that's a good thing to keep, like, it's a good truce moment, right? Where even if we all have, like, problems, It's like siblings at Thanksgiving. You know, like we all fight all year round, and mom gets to hear about it. And then she invites everyone to Thanksgiving, and you just suck it up and you like have some fucking turkey.
Yeah. I mean, I think that while you can say, because like again, their whole thing was we're not officially inviting Russia or Belarus back.
Right.
Like the athletes can still come, they just have to operate as athletes as neutral parties, which I think is really kind of messed up, like you're saying, because like it's not like Russia's people. It's not every single person in Russia's fault that they went to war.
Yeah.
Right. So like you're kind of like putting a knife in the back of like the Russian people and the Belarus people who like maybe those athletes didn't agree with the war.
Yeah.
But now they're like, well, fuck you. Like
So
this
then
is
when they
dumb.
come as a neutral, a neutral, do they get to win anything?
Yeah, they can still win.
Okay.
It just won't be accredited to Russia or Belarus.
It's just to that person.
It's just to the person. So, which I mean, I guess that maybe that's how they're like justifying it. But I mean, I don't know about you, but you know, I didn't see the U.S. not get to go to the Olympics when we invaded Iraq.
Yeah.
We were an invading country. I'm pretty sure if like Iraq was looked at more favorably, you know, then we probably would have been asked to come back. You know what I mean? So like, where do you draw the line? Where do we get where does IOC get off telling a country that they can't come just because of like something political? Again,
Well, who runs IOC?
it's kind of like it's a bunch of different. I mean, it's a committee of countries from all around the world. So they got together and were like, oh, and that's what's happening to. Not that I'm agreeing with what Russia's doing or anything,
Right.
but how do we, you know, keep things, I guess, fair? You know, in the sports game.
Yeah.
You know, like, because basically, like, we're just, you know, the world's gotten together and been like punishing Russia for its actions. You know, but it's like, it's something like I don't think that should even be considered because it has nothing to do with sports. It's not like the Russian Olympic team like cheated.
Yeah. Although they have cheated. Right? Isn't that like an ongoing problem?
All I'm saying is
That's not the reason why they're being uninvited.
It's not the reason why they're being uninvited.
Right.
Right. It's because of the Ukraine thing, and I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that
Yeah.
that has anything to do with the people of Russia or Belarus. I have a friend who's from Belarus. Like, you know, he's not for everything that's going on. It's like, imagine if he was, you know, proud to be from Belarus. You know, proud, like, everyone has pride in their country.
Yeah.
Whether the people at the fucking top who are idiots who make decisions do whatever they're gonna do. You know what I mean? Like, that shouldn't affect like the general populace of that country.
Yeah.
You know? So I think that's kind of my stance on it. I think that I don't think that they should uninvite or that countries shouldn't be allowed to come.
What do you think it should take for them to be uninvited? Like, would the morality police being reinstated be potentially?
Well, that's the other thing. Like, Belarus isn't getting to come, right? Because they support Russia.
Right.
China supports Russia. Are they getting uninvited? I hope you hear this. IOC, because China should not be coming. Look what China's doing to their people, their own people.
Yeah.
And they back Russia. So if Belarus backs Russia and Belarus can't come, then I better not see China at the fucking Olympics.
I just keep going back to like my Thanksgiving analogy. It's just making it funny in my head. Like, oh, if cousin Jimmy can't come, then why is Stacy coming? Because Stacy agrees with Jimmy, and you know. But it's seriously.
I bet if that's the road they're walking down, and that's the path,
agree.
that's the path they've chosen. So
Yeah,
you know,
I agree.
I'm
I think
like,
Iran shouldn't be able to come either.
no. Anyone who supports Russia,
Yeah.
they shouldn't get to come.
Yeah.
If that's the road we're gonna take. So.
I agree.
Yeah.
I need like a gavel.
Yeah. I mean, I think the UN is there, and NATO is just, it's all dumb. It's basically what the kind of like the IOC is. You know what I mean, it's just this committee of random weirdos who've all just decided to like
That they can make a decision for everybody else, and that everyone has to respect their decision. And for some reason, everyone's just like, okay,
yeah.
they're a committee.
I mean, while committees do have their place, while there are good things that come out of like having a large group of people decide instead of just one person, like a dictatorship, there still has to be like some checks and balances, and there has to just keep politics out of sports. This is literally just pushing politics into sports.
Yeah.
At its finest. Like this is actually the largest political move in sports. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you don't get to participate.
It's global.
Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. Now, I don't, and again, this is kind of just segueing into the whole Ukraine thing with the whole cluster bombs, which I think is kind of just like a dick swinging match or a pissing contest. It's like, you know, like Biden announces like, oh, we're giving cluster bombs to Ukraine, which I think is massively hilarious considering Jen Psaki at the beginning of the administration said cluster bombs are so inhumane.
She did.
We should never use them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you go from that to handing Ukraine the thing that your own administration said was like shouldn't be, you know, and then Russia's like, oh yeah, well, we have many.
It's really they really just think that we have like short-term memory loss.
Most people do.
It's true. I will admit there are some things I've forgotten. That one I didn't even hear from the start though. Like that's fresh to me. That's
we have the attention span of goldfish. Like
thus sports.
I feel like even sports people are like,
Won last year?
Well, not even just that. They're like, how do we shorten this game up? The MLB is like, we're gonna add timers. You can only take so much time, and you have to fucking push the ball. Oops. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I think the whole cluster bomb thing is just I think most of it's just a look over here thing. You know, it's just to distract you. But I almost feel like there's got to be part of it that's like testing us. You know, maybe testing our memory. Like, are they gonna remember that Jen Psaki said this? Let's just say it. Let's just send it. Let's send them and just see what happens.
Maybe, like, probably. I feel like I'm being tested all the time. Like everything is a test. You know, like, okay, are you gonna wear a mask? It's to test. You know, how moldable out are you? You know, it's all a test.
It's all a test.
It's gonna get old, and it's already getting old. This whole like pissing contest, like you described it, of we hand Ukraine one thing and Russia's like, oh, well, guess what? Over here, like we got this. You know, it's like everyone just keeps flexing. And at some point, like, it's just going to be boring. And nobody's going to care. I feel like people hardly care anymore as it is. Like, everyone's talking about other things. When I go check my feed, you know, nobody's really talking about Russia anymore.
Well, yeah, because I saw a thing. I think it was a post from, maybe it was yesterday or today, but it was like, day 509 of the invasion. It's like, that's not an invasion anymore, dude. You are like basically occupied. Like,
you should be occupying something.
Yeah, I mean, like, maybe, and I think maybe it's because of Russia's like absolute terrible job of invading that it's on day 500. Literally, we overran Iraq in like 24 hours. Like, and they're having a problem with Ukraine at day 509. It's just going to be something that continues. I know we're getting a little bit off track and off beat. We should be talking about cluster bombs and how they are shouldn't be. I personally,
do you think they shouldn't be a thing?
I think that cluster bombs are just like any other weapon, right? You don't go to war no country goes to war and they're like, yeah, so you guys made this rule and we're just gonna abide by it.
Right.
Or, oh, you think this is inhumane? Oh, okay, we won't do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, oh, my fingers hurt. No. If you go to war, you're there to fucking win. You're there to like accomplish your fucking mission, whatever the fuck that is, and move on.
Yeah.
Right. And whether the mission is to deter a current attack that you're facing, right? If you're like on the counterattack and you're just trying to like beat the enemy back far enough that like they'll leave you alone, or you're going into like what Russia is doing to invade and take land and take resources, right? Like I can at least respect it.
Yeah.
I can at least respect it. But for me, it's like the cluster bombs. Like, yeah, it's like any other portion of war. A country's gonna use whatever they deem necessary to complete the mission.
I think it's odd to call anything inhumane, but at the same time, we have nukes. Like I feel like nukes are kind of inhumane. It doesn't seem like a good idea.
I feel like nukes are pretty humane. I mean, from the humanitarian standpoint, they're not good for the planet or good for the things around it afterwards. But I mean, if you get hit by a nuke, it's not like you feel anything.
Okay, so we're just talking about like pain. Then sure.
I mean, there's maybe some long-term pain. The cancer and other things that come from it. From nuclear waste.
And you're saying cluster bombs are inhumane. It's like we have like nukes.
I mean,
is any weapon humane? Really? Like, no.
Is any weapon for humanity? No, I don't think so. I'm pretty sure like most weapons that are designed for military use are supposed to be inhumane. Like, it's not supposed to be in your best, interest when it's used against you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think cluster bombs, check. Fucking send it. Push the button. Use them. Like everyone else is gonna use them. You know what I mean? Like if you had them, you'd use them.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's why Ukraine's like, we got cluster bombs from the U.S. It's like, no shit. If you had them, they would have already been used. And Russia would have already used theirs. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I guess I don't understand the reason for like advertising what we're sending to Ukraine. We're like, announcement, Russia. Hope you're listening. And now we sent this and this and this and this. Like, beware. Like, when is that like a good tactic?
Well, Putin already said at the beginning, he's like, if you back Ukraine, like there will be consequences. So like, I'm pretty sure that they're just edging on the war because they want to see World War III. Like, it's gonna happen. It's just an inevitability. I can't say inevitability, but inevitability. It's an inevitability.
It's inevitable?
It's inevitable.
Inevitability.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah.
Like,
inevitability.
Like rolling your R's.
Inevitability.
Hey, baby.
Yeah, that's my new dirty word.
Inevitability.
It's inevitable that I will be in you. Inevitability.
Ooh.
It's an inevitability. Yeah. You're going to see something later.
All right.
Yeah. We are spicing up this channel now. We are starting an OnlyFans. No. So moving on, to keep the ball rolling. So teeth. I had to take a second because I'm still just processing this. Like they've come out with the ability to potentially starting human trials next year.
Yes, July of 2020. What year is it? 23, 24. July 2024. 2024. Jesus Christ. They can regrow teeth in Japan. They figured it out. So clinical trials are going to begin next year.
Yeah. So I mean, is it like? I wonder if it's like, okay, like we're going to inject this one site and you really grow this one tooth that you need, or if it's like you have to go, or you have to have all your stuff ripped out and you're going to like regrow teeth like as it when you were a kid.
That's a good question. Because what I saw was that they want to do the clinical trials specifically on people who have like a genetic problem where they're like missing teeth. So example, I know someone who, and there's like a technical term for it, but there's people who are born without not their canines, but the tooth inside of it, whatever that's called, on both sides, potentially top and bottom. And then I think typically they're also born without wisdom teeth and some molars. So they're missing, like, was that 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 plus teeth. I'm not a dentist, but.
Not a dentist, but. Yeah.
No, that's so they want to do it on those people, right?
Yeah.
But that's just fucking insane. It's like every dentist dream. They're like, cavities, rip that shit out. Give you a pill. Regrow that tooth. Like.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can you imagine, like, literally going in there and be like, well, we have this new pill, and we're gonna turn you into a shark. Like,
you're only gonna have fangs.
Yeah, like
that's it.
But I mean, like, what's the next step? Like, could they regrow? Like, could we like genetically alter it where, like, you actually change, like, the shape of the teeth that you're getting? If you have to, like, let's say, like, if you went through the procedure, you had to take all of them out, and you were gonna like, you'd regrow new teeth, like, and then the other question is, like, how fast does it happen? Like, is it the same as, like, as again, when you're, like, getting your teeth, so it's going to take, like, years, which, like, are you okay with? Like,
kids grow their teeth pretty quickly, don't they? Like, I'm trying to think of from the time, probably my slowest adult teeth to come in were my 2 front teeth, and it took maybe, like, a year and a half or 2 years, because I literally, for, like, 2 Christmases, I remember singing that song, like, all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth. But everything else came in really quick.
But could you go that long? Could you go
as an adult?
Yeah, if someone was like, "Look, you're gonna get all new teeth. We're gonna rip all your shit out. It's gonna take you like a year and a half, but you're gonna have all brand new teeth. Like, is that worth it to you? Yes or no?"
Yes, because I imagine that at the point where they're doing that for, like, the average customer, they're also probably giving you, like, some sort of insert that's, like, temporary teeth or something, right? Because otherwise you can't talk, and then you won't be able to work, and then you won't be able to pay your dentist bill, right? So they're gonna give you maybe, like, a hollow tooth thing. Yeah. My other thought with the whole, like, okay, can they change how your teeth come in, is they probably can't, but by, like, changing the pill, I mean. But I bet you what they'll do is they'll somehow create, like, a grid to, like, guide your teeth, kind of like pre-braces.
Pre-braces.
Yeah. That's what I imagine without, like, obviously reading it.
But I don't think you'd need pre-braces.
Well, because
your body's going to know.
Genetics, if it's just, like, activating a gene, right, then wouldn't your new teeth come in the same way as, like, your normal adult teeth did, your first set?
Yeah. So you wouldn't need anything to guide it
But if you wanted your second set to come in, like, more straight or whatever, then you would need them to be guided. That's what I'm saying.
Oh, yeah. If you're going to rip them all out, if that's the way you had to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I guess you would need some way to guide them. Although, they may just come in, like, for example, like, your genetics and body knew that, like, your mouth was too small to even have wisdom, so you didn't get wisdom teeth.
Yeah.
Right. So potentially, like, as one's coming in, your body just knows, like, the one next to it needs X amount of space, and it might just work itself out.
So you think that, like, if you had, like, a gap, that your next set of teeth would come in bigger to fill the gap?
I think. Yeah, I think maybe. I think it's possible that, like, or maybe, like, once they're all ripped out and you get this thing, maybe they all start growing at the same time. So they just kind of, like, they just kind of all come together, at the same time. Like, they all just, like,
right.
They have their spacing, because you already have, like, the parts that you already have the spaces that are there.
That's interesting.
And maybe it's that. We need to do more research on this, because I'm super curious. Like, we just saw the headline. We're like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
But, like, it's possible that, because you said if they've lost teeth, you can get teeth back.
So they're doing the clinical trials on people who already are missing teeth, because of their genetics. Like they were just born without those teeth I described. So they're going to start on those folks. Now, I don't know if they're going to do people who like lost teeth because they had bad genes and just have like bad teeth naturally. I don't know. I was hoping that's what I was going to read, and that's not what I read. Because that would be extra cool.
It would be extra cool. It would be something that, like...
I'm sure that's the next step, though.
Oh, hands down. There's no way that's not it.
Because what? Our teeth are only supposed to last us until we're 50, right? I'm sure. I think
I don't know.
that somewhere. Yeah, our teeth are not. We're not supposed to live this long, basically.
Well, yeah. I mean, we're not supposed to live this long, anyways. Like, you know, it's only thanks to like medical, advances in medical science that we're even where we're at now with living. You know, like these bodies were supposed to be done around like what, our 40s, 50s max.
That's depressing to think about, but yeah.
I mean, imagine how you would live your life, though. Like, like maybe you would do more with it in a shorter amount of time. You know what I mean? Like maybe it's all relative. I mean, it is because just look at our past. I mean, people were getting,
married at 13.
13 and
younger.
Yeah, I mean, like, at least for the women, it wouldn't be that much different for men. We just die off and then whatever.
It's all the same.
Well, I mean, that kind of brings us to our next topic, which was potentially a forever pill. Forever pill brought to you by, no. This episode brought to you by the Forever Pill.
Can you imagine? Someday.
It sounds kinky.
It's not.
It's not.
It could be, I guess, if you got like a kink for, eternal beings or something.
Yeah, so we saw this headline talking about how they have this pill that you could potentially take that would make you live forever.
They're working on it, is what I was seeing. And it's comes from, forgive me, I'm probably going to butcher this, but they found this deep sea creature that's kind of jellyfish-like, kind of anemone-like, and yeah, I know. You're like, yeah, I know. And they figured out some sort of chemical it produces or something in its genes could potentially help us live forever. Pretty cool.
Living forever based off of some DNA
Jellyfish.
from jellyfish. Now, I don't know if you guys know this or not. I don't know if you guys know this or not, but today's fun fact brought to you by jellyfish. If you didn't happen to know this, jellyfish are one of the only animals still on the planet that haven't changed since the prehistoric era. So
I forgot about that.
They're dinosaurs, legitimately. So keep that in mind next time you check out some jellyfish. They are dinosaurs. You've seen a dinosaur. So
touched a dinosaur. I've cut up a dinosaur. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So if it doesn't surprise me at all, like when you think about like cuttlefish and things from the sea having like cuttlefish and octopus, like they're the only ones that share. They don't share their DNA with anything on the planet. They're like literally, to our knowledge, the most alien thing on the planet. So it makes.
I thought you were going with.
Yeah, it made sense to me. It makes sense to me that we found something in some deep sea jellyfish that that can help us live potentially forever. Now I wonder, when it comes to living forever, like that it would either just be like slowing down like the degenerative process for our bodies, or is it like the body may last longer, but this is actually more for like the brain? Because like brain health is really like where it's at when it comes to like how do we figure out how to live forever, right? Because our brains deteriorate faster than our bodies do.
Really?
For a lot of people. Yeah, I mean, like, you have Alzheimer's, you have just all sorts of things, right? The brain will become mush eventually.
Yeah. I guess I thought that, like, there was early onset Alzheimer's was designated as that because your brain was deteriorating faster than your body was supposed to. Or, you see what I'm saying? Like, I didn't think that it was just standard that your brain deteriorates faster than your body.
Well, at least to my knowledge, that's what it is. And I could very well be wrong, so don't hold me to it.
Okay.
But I think I believe I remember in science class at some point learning that your brain, and it might just be that your mind, maybe not the actual physical brain itself,
Sure.
but maybe just our minds can't continue to process it. I mean, like you literally see it as you get older, right? As you get older, like your memory starts to go, your cognition, motor function, speed, all those things start to like degrade. So, and again, if we're wrong, leave a comment below on any of this. Honestly, like share your thoughts, leave some comments below, and let us know what you guys think, and maybe we'll turn tail back to it at some point. But yeah, I think that.
I guess when you say that, the thing that comes to mind is like my great grandma lived to be. She died when she was 105, and she, up until about 102, she would like go out dancing, and she like remembered everybody's names, and she's got like hundreds of great grandchildren. Like I am one of many, and so, and she remembered everybody's names, and so. I guess I think of her, and it was her body that deteriorated before her mind did, because like she would go out dancing up till about 101, and when she stopped dancing, she had a stroke, and then that's what kind of like did her in for the last 3 years.
I mean, that's really impressive. I mean, like, I can't remember like someone's name I met yesterday, but to remember like 100 people's names at 100 and some odd years old, like maybe that's just proof in the pudding that it's genetics. Like some people just have it and some people don't. Some people are prone to Alzheimer's and some aren't.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that maybe it really just comes down to, maybe it's just genetics. Like maybe that's how we.
I guess to answer your question though, with the like, how does it make you live forever? What I think is that, because a while back I was listening to some scientists talk about how like our body actually has a greater capacity to regenerate itself than we utilize, because we don't utilize our whole brain, right? Everybody knows that. But like if we unlock that part of our brain, we can also simultaneously unlock that like gene that helps us regenerate everything faster.
So basically like, there's the whole, and maybe like you're saying, maybe we used to do this faster, but there's also something, we have talked about this not on a podcast before, but like the 7-year cycle, right? So like every 7 years, throughout not all at once, but throughout the 7-year period, you replace every cell in your body.
Right.
So if there's some way to potentially maybe speed that up, and this gets it a little bit into like, have you seen the movie Lucy?
One time, so
either that, or I was thinking like maybe like Wolverine. But if there was some way to like, and this is gonna sound super crunchy, but like, get in tune with your vibration, whatever tone you resonate at, man. If you can, if you can master that tone, right? If you can
sit here and find your hum.
Can you imagine, dude? You're like, get in a motorcycle accident, lose your leg. There's just a guy on the fucking side bleeding out, like, just fucking growing a leg back. You're like, oh. Could you imagine?
He's so in tune with himself,
dude.
Beautiful, man.
It's beautiful, dude. That would be epic. But if there's, I mean, I would imagine that the pill, I mean, I honestly believe, like, if we know nothing about it, but like, if anything was gonna work, to me, that's what makes the most sense.
I agree.
Like legitimately, like your brain found some way to like within this existence, realm, reality, universe, whatever, was able to just find that find a way like help unlock like portions of your consciousness or whatever. It kind of reminds me of that talking about how things are built, in the universe, like perception is reality, and like our own perceiving of it changes it, and like what we actually like want to perceive we can perceive, and so like we can create it, and so like naturally we can like fix ourselves.
Yeah.
you know. But
So you're talking about like the whole
that
what
gets
you focus
deep.
on, you attract more of. So like if you focused on like if you meditated every night before you went to bed, right? And you're
On like
like,
the health of
I
your
am regenerating my back because it hurts, right?
yeah, like you
Maybe that's just it.
yeah.
Like we don't even need the scientists to come up with the forever pill. It's just
Yeah, maybe if you like if you can just get that in tune where like you can again, we're getting like way out there with like
so deep.
it's not even, it's beyond deep. It's like it's almost conspiracy theory level like ideals.
Sort of, but there's so many people who talk about it.
Oh yeah, no, for sure.
You know?
But I mean, bring like if you could find some way to like use your brain to bring in like the sources you need from like everything around you at the like molecular level, you know?
Yeah.
Because I mean, we're not even. Let me see your finger. We're not even touching. This is just
We just perceive that we're touching.
no. This is just negative and positive neutrons bouncing off each other at the molecular level.
It's
Like
can never touch you. Can never touch anything. Nothing's real. It's all the Matrix.
and it's beautiful at the same time.
Is it? It's kind of scary. Because
Scary, beautiful, chaos.
like it's all good, nothing's real, and I'm like, ah, what's the point? You're like, it's great. Everything's the point. Nothing's the point. That's the point.
Yeah, man. You just gotta like absorb it.
Sure. Okay.
Literally, physically, metaphysically, mentally, all the things. Just be a sponge, you know?
All right. Sponge it out, dude.
Yeah.
Just sponging today.
Just sponging.
Next time someone asks me how I'm doing, I'll be like, I'm just sponging.
Yeah, you're gonna get some looks.
No, I'm gonna say it over the phone. And just deal with that awkward silence that's gonna come afterwards.
Just do it at work, in like
Yeah.
your next work meeting.
Yeah. How are you? Sponging, dude.
Sponging.
I'm straight sponging.
That's how you have to be in this world, though. You have to just be a sponge for everything. You know, you have to like just like again, you just get absorb it. I mean, like
Absorb
want to try
without,
to-
like, personalizing.
yeah. And I wanted to like reframe what I was saying, or maybe like I didn't want to absorb the things you need to absorb. You know, you don't want to absorb the negative energy. You don't want to absorb the. We're getting like really off track. So a pill, a pill that can make you last.
Approved.
A pill that can make you live forever. Okay, the real big question is, would you take it?
Yeah. Yeah, I would.
You take it?
Fuck it, dude. Whatever. You know?
You want to live forever?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably not gonna last forever. You know? I'm
No,
probably
that's
gonna-
it. Forever. We're going based off of.
I mean, they can't
Would
really
you-
say that though, right?
No, we're going
I mean, they're
off.
saying that, but they can't really do that.
Why not?
I guess if you take it enough, potentially.
No, like what? Like, again, the whole thing was, what if you could take a pill?
So literally, if I could live forever,
Yeah,
yes, I would take it.
you would take it.
I would. Yeah. Well,
You
okay.
wanna-
Okay, but I would want to know some. I have some questions. Like, am I still gonna look old as fuck? Like, am I gonna be like the Red Witch from Game of Thrones and like just be super fucking nasty and be living forever? You know, I'm gonna have to become a witch to like hide my ugliness, but I like live forever. That's not worth it to me. I can't deal with that. I wouldn't. I couldn't. But if I can be hot and live forever, for sure, I'm popping that pill so fast. Like, fuck yeah. Because you could be so rich. You know? Whatever you wanted to do, you could accomplish it because you have so infinite amount of time to learn all the lessons to do it.
Okay, so check this out though. Like if you can live forever, like is being rich even important, right? Because like a lot of times like we associate like wanting to be rich with because we want to accomplish XYZ. But if I have all the time in the universe, does being rich even matter? Like, does being rich even change anything? Because if everyone else also lives forever, like, I think that the entire dynamic of how we look at life completely changes. Like, it would completely destroy any, like, ties we have to like things. I think because I think a lot of it is tied to time. I think a lot of it is how we look at ourselves and our existence and what we've done and what we want to accomplish or what we want to leave behind for our kids or whatever the case is. But if we all live forever, I don't have to leave anything behind for my kids. They'll all live forever. That'll be fine.
I mean, if they choose to take the pill.
Yeah. I mean, maybe you end up trying to like make so much money so that you can like use all that money to develop a way to die because you just had enough.
I mean, Canada already has like assisted suicide. So.
I mean, assisted. Sweden. But if you can live forever, like
in Sweden, just to be clear, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I just think that it's. I don't know that I would take it, like,
really?
like you said, if you could guarantee, if you could guarantee me, I don't have to necessarily be hot, you know, but like if I stopped aging, you know what I mean? Because and it's not even about like a way to look. It's just like
how your body feels.
Yeah, like can I like get up without my back hurting? Like, or do I need like oh God, guys, how old are you? Oh, 432 tomorrow. I think. You know, like I don't want to be that ever. Not in this life. Not in like a life where I can live forever. Like never. So I don't know that I would want to live. I don't want to live like that. So like there would be a lot of stipulations on whether or not I took the pill. But I would say that like, and even with that, it's like. And again, maybe society changes. Maybe like the way we look at life completely changes. But like knowing what I know in this life, if everything stayed exactly the way that this life works, God, you know, things are fucking chaotic. People suck a lot. There's so much stress on us. There's so much anxiety. There's so much all these things that are not great. You know, like would I want to continue doing that? You know what I mean? And it's like, and the other question I would have is like, is it just certain people that like have the genetics that can like absorb or can even work with it?
That's
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, okay, like let's say I take it, you know, because I'm like all stoked, and then like my kids can't take it, and so I have to watch my kids die no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I don't know that I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't know that I would want to do that. So, you know, I mean, I guess the pragmatic side of it would be like maybe I can make more kids, which is like super like you know, even saying it, I'm like ugh.
Yeah.
I don't like it. Like it's just like no, I would never want to see that. Like that's the like you're supposed to go out before your kids. You know, so anytime it happens in reverse, like it's just the shittiest thing in the world.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I don't think I could live with myself. Like if I knew that I took this pill and then my kids couldn't take it and then now I just have to like live forever without my kids. And my only option to like see my kids grow up is to make more, like I just want to vomit. You know, like I couldn't do it. But I guess when I say, you know, I'd be so rich, like for me, wealth has a lot to do with just freedom, right? Where for me, like money, if used correctly, just brings you more personal freedom. So like you have more freedom to like go do the Camino de Santiago, right? Like the super long hike from like France to Spain or
so that's
whatever.
what you would do if you lived forever.
Heck yeah. I would like get to a point where like I can go do all that shit and not worry about it. So I can go live my spiritual hippy dippy life and like do all the cool things and just not worry about money.
Couldn't you do that anyway?
I could, but I think it would be more selfish because like I would be doing those things for me now. You know, I'd be obtaining wealth so I could do those things for me now, as opposed to obtaining wealth to pass on to my children so that hopefully like they can do all of the things now that they want, right? And then maybe I'll get to experience some of that with them. You know, because I guess like I was basically just set up to hustle, to continue working as a worker bee, with maybe some encouragement for my natural inclination to like be more independent and to want to be my own boss, right? So like luckily I have encouragement in that, and I wasn't just taught to like listen, do what you're told, you know. But I don't want to just tell my kids like, hey, you just got to work really, 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 really hard, you know.
Yeah.
Like I do want them to know how to work hard and know how to hustle and build things for themselves, but I want them to not have to worry about like how they're going to do it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think that makes total sense.
Because I think there's less freedom with knowing like, okay, I want to be my own boss. I don't like listening to people. But like I have to listen to people because I also have to pay my bills. You know, like that sucks.
But you have to do it forever.
Listen to myself? Of course.
But you also potentially have to listen to other people forever.
This is true. I guess I would hope that, you know, I would get to this place, like spiritually, where I just don't listen to people. You know? Shit, man. Because then I think of like Elon Musk, and I feel like Elon Musk doesn't really listen to other people very well. And I'm like, do I want to be like Elon Musk forever? I don't know. Maybe?
I don't know. I think it's really important. I think it's almost vital for success in almost any facet to learn how to, at some point, not listen to people.
Listen to people.
Right. Like, obviously, there are going to be times when, like, it's important that you do listen. But if you're incapable of not listening, if you're incapable of, like, not letting someone else guide you,
yeah,
then you're never going to get where you want to go.
Unless, right? But there are some people who literally, like, they don't need to go anywhere.
Right. Okay. So, I mean, I think that the people that don't need to go anywhere, like, have found whatever they're looking for. Like, they've found happiness. They've found whatever it is that, like, where they can just be totally content in the world that they're in, or in their current environment. You know what I mean? But I think that you know, I feel like even that a lot of times is like very guided to like some sort of like social structure and social norm. Like, for example, like, you know, the guy going to work with the mom at home, and he's watching the kids, and he goes to work his construction job from 9 to 5, and then he gets home and he cracks a beer and he sits down on his easy boy and watches the football game until dinner's ready, and then they will go sit down and they eat family dinner together, and then the dad goes upstairs and reads his kids a book and puts them to sleep, and then the mom comes in and goes, oh, like, kisses them on the good night, and then the whole fucking story repeats.
Yeah.
And like, that's a very trained thing. And some people are like, that's totally bliss. You know what I mean? Like, I can, you know, I feel this purpose at my job, and, you know, that's super important that you have purpose. And so, like, but I mean, if you're totally fulfilled, I mean, it's great. But, like, how much of it is trained? How much of it is just something that you've just been told that this is what you're supposed to do? This is what life is supposed to be like. You know what I mean? Like, and to me, that's the ant narrative, you know? And I think that right now we're in this, like, very unique, like, and I'm trying to tie this back into our original thing. I am.
My bad.
But, you know, I think that there's this giant kind of, like, awakening happening in people. And I think that's part of, like, I think that's part of the forever thing. I think that that's how we get there. Kind of how we've talked about it. And I think that...
Buy the forever pill?
Maybe not necessarily buy the forever pill, but just, like, the concepts that, or these kinds of conversations that come up, that come out of it. You know what I mean?
Like, what's the true meaning of life? Like, what's your individual purpose? Those conversations?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, I think that I'd have a really hard time. I'd have a really hard time taking it, even if it was totally legitimate. Right? There would be so many things that I would have to have nailed down. Um,
Way to get it in.
she said, "If there's not a way to get it in, there's always a way to get it in." So,
Consent.
um, so the morality police. Iran got their morality police back, and yay. Yeah, I don't know if anyone's stoked about it. I'm sure that
they are.
I mean, yeah,
right?
I mean,
the morality police are.
it's employment, you know. I don't know if it's much more beyond that. It's pretty tyrannical, actually, and I don't know if you guys have ever looked into that stuff at all, but it is pretty. It's kind of insane. It's a little bit nuts. What they're allowed to do and hold people to is just everything that is like anything but freedom. It's anything but you being able to make choices for yourself. Like, you better understand and know your religion through and through, like the back of your hand. Otherwise, you'll be held publicly accountable for it. And there's something to it that I'm not going to say I'm for.
Okay.
Right? But at least the standards of their society are held like really high, and that they're, and I would say that like that their moral compass, right, for their own society is held at the highest level you can hold it, right? And to me, I kind of value that. I can kind of get behind it. I won't say like I'm gonna totally support the morality police, but I can get behind a society being like, we have this certain set of moral values, and you're gonna fucking follow it. And you know what I mean? Like, it. I'm not gonna say it would be the worst thing for the U.S. to have something like that. I'm not saying it'd be the greatest thing to have something like that. I think everyone should have their own freedoms and stuff. People should be able to believe what they want to believe in things. But man, the way the trajectory that we're headed on now,
Kind of need a little bit of that little
yeah, we need some
squeeze.
we need some morality police.
Okay, I don't know very much about like what they're able to do or what they're authorized to do, I guess. I just, how I understand it is it's like how we have casual Christians in the U.S., you know, we're like, yeah, Jesus never said that, but he did, right? In certain churches, you just don't talk about certain verses. That's not the case here.
Well,
But like,
you're familiar with some of like the punishments of like Sharia law.
I understand that you are allowed to like behead your daughter for certain things, like on your front doorstep. Is that not a thing?
So I mean, just, and I want to go back and I guess just try to cover this more broadly and sweeping. Like, you know, the morality police are there to, again, to ensure that people are following like the teachings, right? So like, if you're out in public and breaking the law, right, then you're going to be held accountable the same way that like we hold criminals accountable.
Right.
But it's going to be to their standard, which is very extreme.
Sure.
And so that's where there's so much problem. That's why there's so much kind of uproar about that whole concept, is because it's like it's ruling based off of faith and basically a religion, right? Versus like having a standard set of laws that everyone agrees upon. That's not based on
A belief system.
a belief system.
So that's why everybody was upset about the whole headdress thing a while back, right? Where that girl was, she was sent to, I think, a re-education camp if I remember correctly, and she was like abused to the point where she died, all over not wearing a headdress either properly or at all. I don't remember. Sorry.
Yeah.
Back to the goldfish memory thing. But what's weird to me about all of that is that even if we disagree and find the punishments brutal, the fact that they have morality police wrong or questionable, at the same time, like, who are we to judge? Right? Because, I mean, every religion has their belief system. And if this is like a government backed thing where, like, they decide that their country is Muslim and they're going to enforce those rules because that's the rules of that country, that's the rules of that land, and everyone understands that when they're living there, right? Then it's like, unfortunately, you kind of have to follow the rules of the people you're around because everybody has agreed on some level to abide by those rules. And I understand probably someone's going to be like, oh, well, they can't leave, or not everybody can afford to leave, or not everybody's as free as we are here in the USA. Like, I get that. But at the same time, it's like, I agree. Not every country is the USA. And so we can't treat every country like the USA. When they do something stupid that we don't agree with, that we find, like, so terrible,
Morally reprehensible.
it's not the USA. So the same rules just don't apply.
Yeah.
Again, not saying I'm pro morality police, but who am I to tell them how to run their country?
Right. So it spurred out of the Islamic Revolution in 1979 is where it all started, and it was there, mostly to deter indecent behavior,
Okay.
which mostly mostly employed by men, and really was kind of out there to manage women, minorities, and things like that.
So are women usually the subject of punishment because most of the rules pertain to them and not to men?
I would have to learn more to say for a fact that there's more rules regulating women than men.
Because, I mean, looking at Islam from, like, the outside looking in, it definitely seems that way, right? It doesn't seem like guys have as many rules, right?
God, I don't know. Like, I don't want to speak out of turn, so I don't want to say, like, there for sure is more rules. Because, I mean, the other side of it is there's lots of things that men are responsible for that women aren't, that they have lots of rules that they have to follow, right? Because women don't have ownership. So, like, anything that's owned is all by men, so they're responsible for all those things, right?
Sure.
So, like, I don't know necessarily that there's more rules for men or women than men, or men than women. So, because, I mean, Islam is a really interesting faith, again, because it was basically like a warrior's religion, right? Like, in their religion, they even specify how you're supposed to treat, like, POWs and slaves and things like that. You know what I mean? And the other thing that is interesting about their faith is, like, if you're Muslim and you own a slave, if that slave is Muslim, you're supposed to treat them, like, with, like, the utmost respect, like you treat any other Muslim. You just happen to, like, own them, and they do things for you. But you're supposed to, like, they're supposed to be, like, well kept and well fed, and, like, you don't abuse them, you don't mistreat them, you don't rape them, you don't do any of those things. So, but if you're not Muslim, all bets are off. Like,
So what if you convert, the slave converts? Or are they not, like,
then it's okay. Then they're good. That's the whole purpose of their faith.
is to break you into conversion.
Yeah, and if you don't,
All right.
you can die.
Yeah.
And so, the morality police, again, why so many people have run issue with is, obviously women's rights, and because it was mostly to manage their indecent behavior in public. So
indecent behavior, like, oh my God, she showed her ankle. Ugh, that slut.
yeah, I mean, but if that's your faith, if that's your religion, if that's your way of life, if that's your society, and you choose to be in that faith and in that society, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it is.
Yeah.
You know, you don't get to complain about it. We don't get to complain about it. We don't get to be like outsiders looking in and be like, how dare you? You know, like that's their thing.
Yeah, that's true.
Like if you're for freedom, right?
Yeah.
I mean, at some point, I guess you have to say like there's like a human rights issue because like that's the way we look at the world now. But well, you know, and I know that sounds very like I know how that's coming off from me, believe me, but in the eyes of freedom, right? If we have freedom of religion, and that's your religion, and you're cool with it, you know, you're subject, like, you know, you are subjecting yourself to it by wanting to believe, like, you want to believe that religion, you go follow that religion. So whatever comes from that is like what you are responsible for, right? So, you know, again, like why do we have any say so in what that looks like? I don't think we do. I don't think we get to.
If you are born into a Muslim family and then you decide not to be Muslim, how does that go over? That's not like a thing, right? You're not.
No,
To.
I mean, it's just like any other, I think, you know, parent-child relationship for the most part, right? Like we're all born into a family that has certain beliefs or values, and if you step off the path of those beliefs or values, like there's probably going to be a conversation, you know, and you might be outcast, and you might be whatever, you know, and it may be, I don't know, I haven't experienced it, but like maybe it's harder it may be harder for them to get out of that scenario, you know, but I don't know, you know what I mean? Like I've watched a lot of people leave bad situations because that's what they wanted for their life. You know, I've talked to a lot of people in this country that are from Muslim countries that didn't want to be part of that anymore, and so they left and they're not Muslim anymore. I've also met people that have come here complaining about the space but are still Muslim, right? Because of like extremist views or whatever. But like honestly, and this kind of goes, I don't want to go too far off topic, but it's like, you know, I think that if you're gonna believe a religion, it needs to be, there's no such thing as like you getting to interpret it the way that you want that fits your fucking life. You know, I'm sorry, but you can't be gay and you can't be Christian. It's not a fucking thing. It says right in the Bible, not okay, not allowed, right? Same thing with their stuff. Like you can't, you need to be a zealot for me to take you seriously in religion. Like if you have a religion, I'm all for it. Practice whatever the fuck it is you want to practice. But like, if the religion's been around, if you start your own religion, by all means, do whatever the fuck you want. But if you're following a religion that's fucking supposedly thousands of years old with a fucking Bible or some sort of like main text you're supposed to be following, if you're not a zealot, then you're not following it. Like if you're not following it to the T, if you're not like through and through that one thing and don't take the word of your God to like fucking to the grave with you, like to every little single piece, then I don't really like believe you. I don't think that I think that you're just another person who's scared to die and wants to believe that there's something beyond this life. Which, I mean, is okay. That's why a lot of people turn to religion or whatever. But you better be following it to the T. Right? Yeah. And so, and maybe that's where, like, you know, these morality police were put in place because it's like, well, you better be following it to the T. It's viewed as an extremist view. But realistically, like, if you're going to follow religion, and you really want to go to heaven or whatever that looks like and whatever religion it is, right? Like, you know.
You should probably be your own morality police. That way you don't need morality police out there.
Yeah. Well. And again, if you look at where we're at now, if you look at where the U.S. now is at where we're at as a country, like, I don't know, man. Like, we've gone the opposite direction. Like, we have no morals. We have no moral values.
Yeah.
Kids these days have no respect for their elders. They have no respect for others. They have no respect for themselves.
Yeah.
They're massively confused about who they are, where they belong in the world. Some of them confused about even what gender they are. I'm going to say what sex they are because I don't really believe in genders. I think that you're just male or female. I don't really think that there's like, I think that that idea that the word gender even exists, it kind of like throws me off because I feel like we already have a word for that. It's called sex.
Yeah.
You're either male or female. When you start saying gender, you're like assuming that there's something else beyond that. And I don't think there is.
I think if I remember correctly, gender became a thing because they started doing like studies on, gender roles or how you express, how you are perceived and move in the world as a man.
Right, sex roles.
Yeah.
Without making it too sexy. Doesn't have to be kinky, guys.
Not sex, but just sex roles.
Right. So,
that's a different topic.
That's a different topic. Yeah, that's a whole other thing to get into. But, anyways, yeah, super fun. I'm glad that we got through all the topics. We got through all the topics, and now we're done. So, yeah, I had a blast with being back.
Yeah.
I know we got a little bit off topic here and there, but that's bound to happen as your brain just kind of like, this is thinking out loud. We're not super structured. It's not going to be like bullet point, bullet point, bullet point. I'm not here to read the news. I'm here to like talk about some of the news, but I'm not here to like give you the news.
And inevitably get deep.
Yeah. You have to look at the inevitability of.
Inevitability.
Yeah.
Right. I knew I was missing like an extra syllable. Inevitability.
Yeah. The inevitability of this show going deep is 100. So we will keep it 100 always for you guys. Again, thank you so much for tuning back into Thinking Out Live. I know it's been a hot minute. Life's crazy sometimes, but we're back. So with that said, yeah, we will see you guys next time. Again, thank you to all the sponsors of this channel. And yeah, it's been amazing. It's been a wild ride. I hope you guys stay safe out there. Is there anything else you got?
No, it was fun.
Awesome.
Excited for next week.
Yeah. Every week we'll be back on here. I'm hoping maybe we can have some other midweek episodes. It just kind of depends on how things roll and how crazy the world gets. Maybe if there's something just so hot we can't not touch it, maybe we'll touch it. We'll play hot potato with it. So we will see you guys next time. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, stay safe again, and yeah, just be aware. So, and keep your mind rolling forward.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Later, people. Give me a dink.
All right.
Dink.